In 1988, Watsonville was the focus of a landmark decision by the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which struck down the city's discriminatory at-large election system. At that time, 95% of California cities were holding at-large elections. Like Watsonville, many of those cities had significant minority populations, but very few minority candidates were ever elected. In 1992, Watsonville elected its first Latino mayor, Oscar Rios. Mr. Rios is also the first mayor of any U.S. city of Salvadoran descent. He is currently serving the 5th term as mayor of Watsonville. Mayor Rios joins me tonight for a conversation about Watsonville's history and its future. Stay with us. Joining me now, Mayor Oscar Rios. Welcome, Mayor. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. We're very excited to hear from you. I'd love to talk about that very first election. So you were elected to the city council, and how did that happen? What were you doing that led you to run for that?
Well, it was at the same time that the Watsonville strike of 1985, the Watsonville canning strike, was taking place. The Moldav suit also was taking place. In '87, when the strike was over, and a couple of years lapsed, when '89, the first district elections, I was still not at all thinking about running. And we had, picked, in a sense, a candidate from the strike to run. But at the end, she decided not to go for it. People encouraged me, and then I decided to run. The first thing that happened when I decided to run was an anonymous letter was sent to the newspaper saying that the candidate that was throwing itself to run was an illegal and they didn't have no documentation. That was the first thing. And so I had to call a press conference and show them my certificate.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the first thing, and that was in '89. And then the earthquake takes place. So the elections had to be held back for about a month. During that month, my committee, my election committee, I turned it into Earthquake Relief Committee. And that's another story, So we were able to open more doors, and people saw that I was very involved in the relief committee of the earthquake, and we dealt with FEMA. Like the same thing's going on right now in Puerto Rico, we were dealing here in Watsonville. Then the elections took place. Out of the almost 4 Latinos that ran, I was the one that won. And it was very hard, elections, but I was very happy that we won. And from there on, we had to take on the city that was destroyed after the earthquake.
So so the way that you got onto the city council was you were a grassroots sort of organizer before that.
Well, the strike was the '85 strike was the one that brought me to Watsonville. I grew up in San Francisco when I came from El Salvador at 11 years old. Grew up in San Francisco, went to school in San Francisco, and became an organizer. I was working and helping organize in the hotels when strikers came to ask us for support. And that's how I came in October, a big rally that was taking place. 1 week, and the second week, and at that time, I was in workman's comp because I was working also in UPS. So it gave me the time, right? And one thing led to another 1 week, and then eventually I ended up staying the whole 18 months supporting the strike. That's how I came as an organizer. I was never thought that I would be running for any political elections. The first time I got involved, you can say, in electropolitics was in the elections of Jesse Jackson for president.
So so right now, a lot of when people ask what can I do to support government or make change in government, some people, a lot of people do say find a campaign and support it, or become an organizer. Can you speak a little to the value of organizing? What did you learn as an organizer that helped you become an elected official?
Well, I think because of my roots were in being an organizer, that's what really helped me win the election, because I had only been known because of the strike and also because of the earthquake in the area that I was there. But because of my experience in my committee that I put together, we went door to door and got people to come out on the day of the elections. We drove them in there. We even had childcare. I mean, we did the basic needs to get people to come out and vote because people were not used to it and still not. But at that time, District 2 was one of the most dense and still is of Latinos, but they were not used to voting. And I was running against two candidates. So for me to have won that election took a lot of grassroots, as well as it took this my last election in 2016, that took door-to-door knocking and talking to people and being able to also let people know what I stood for.
Now, I want to keep going on your history, but I do want to just ask a question a little to the side of that. These days, there's a lot of social media. There's a lot of, you can communicate with the outside world. People get a lot of everything they know about their community sometimes is from their phones. So what do you think the value is? Is it now, today, important to go door to door?
Oh, I think I would not have won my last election last November. I wouldn't have won. A lot of people thought that because I had served already in Watsonville 17 years, and I had been the mayor before, and I've been involved in the community through activities. Oh no, they would say, you already have it. You already, you're going to win. You're going to do it. But it wasn't like that at all. If I went and gone and knocked on all the doors that I did, I would have not won. So today, for me, especially in districts and in towns like the ones that we live, you have to go door to door to win. I really believe that.
So now, moving forward from your time as you're a councilman, and then you became mayor. How did that feel to you, having been all of a sudden you're the mayor of a town?
Well, first when we won, we came in as a majority, meaning that out of the 7, right, we were the 4th that were more progressive. Okay, we were the progressive ones, and we really bonded together to move forward. And our first mayor, which was Todd McFerrin, he was, and we discussed and supported each other. I became the vice mayor. I was glad that I was not the mayor, especially after the earthquake. And all I did in those 2 years, besides doing everything that we had to do, was to really pay attention that the day that it would come that I would take over. When the time came, I just took over and started dealing with the situation. It was so new for me. But one thing that I can always say is that I'm a quick learner. I listen, and I'm able to work with other people. And that's what really helped me. And having the town at that time destroyed, you can call it the opposition, like the Chamber of Commerce and the farm bureaus and all of them, they were more busy and also doing their reconstruction. That for us was more to work together and work together with all the needs that we had of all the people that were homeless. So it was in a process of doing and rebuilding that my mayoral grew.
So was there a lot of pressure at that time? You were the first Latino mayor of Watsonville. Was there pressure? Did you feel pressure to be extraordinarily successful, to put in a lot of extra work, or was that just not on your mind?
I think because of the earthquake and because our downtown was down, thousands of people and camps, that we had to more fight to make things happen. Bring FEMA, bring accountability. It was Liam Panetta at that time, our representative in Washington. It was Sam Farr. So we had more things that we had to do that didn't have no time for us to think, And that's what I'm saying, that if that wouldn't happen, probably the opposition would have come more, at us, that it did not. And on the contrary, we were able to show that we needed to work together and that we were able to unite everybody because we had a common goal, which was to bring back Watsonville after the earthquake.
Now, let's talk about that a little bit. That Watsonville was demolished in that earthquake, and a lot of the affordable housing was gone. When you look at such a large catastrophe, where do you start in rebuilding?
Well, first we had to deal with the people that were in the fields. They were in the school, fields and Ramsey Park and in camping tents. First, we had to even get the tents. It was a big fight just to get tents. And at that time, we had Fort Ord right here. 25 miles, and we couldn't even get tents until Leon Panetta came and pushed them to bring us tent. So for us, it was more at that time that we needed to get people out of there. We brought trailers from FEMA, put them in the fairgrounds, and from there on, it was how are we were going to, bring housing up. So a lot of the red tape was knocked off, so that to rebuild the homes that had been taken down from their foundations. And the second part was how we would partner with organizations to build homes that would be affordable. All of that from 90 to almost 2000, that was one of the main issues that we had to deal with. At the same time, the canneries had left. There was a lack of jobs, because already Watsonville was no longer the frozen food capital of the world. So we had to go also out and look for ways of bringing jobs. We went to the state. We really, hustle, you can say, all over to find ways that we had to deal with the needs that at that time were very, very precious, which was housing and jobs. And I think all of that I matured and I learned together with my other council members in that period of 10 years.
Now, during that time when you were trying to bring housing and jobs after the earthquake, then there was 2008, a terrible financial catastrophe, and those things were in need again. Were you able to use what you had learned during the earthquake to try to put Watsonville back on a good footing?
Well, I have to say that Watsonville in 2008 is when I had already, let me see, I'm trying for 2008, I left. Okay, I left because I was working full-time for the Teamsters, because I came back in 2004 to 2008. Then a new council took over in that period, and the city had to go through a period of furloughs, of layoffs. The workforce itself, instead of laying everybody off, they themselves reduced their hours. And it's been only until now that has been brought back again to give back the hours so that the workers sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice when, especially from the workforce. I came back in 2010, and we were also going through the problems.
Still going on.
Oh yeah, still going on. And I was there for 2 more years, and the things were still going on, 2012. Watsonville has always have had the problem because of the highest unemployment, because of the seasonal work. So you have majority agriculture, but when it comes to the time when people have to migrate or go somewhere else, the workforce reduces and the income that comes to the city reduces. So Watsonville, if you look at the history, has always had a high unemployment, and it still today has the lowest per capita in the whole county.
And it's one of the most expensive places to live.
Now
it's number 9.
Yes, now it has become more, and that's one of the big issues that we have to deal like every place else. But how do you provide for the agriculture base that we have the housing? And that is an issue that farmers now, ranchers, are having to deal with. And I am making a call to them to let us work together in how we're going to resolve the problem, because if that doesn't get resolved, they're not going to have the workforce, because already some of the workforce are moving out of here.
So they can't. So the farm workers who come to help us with our lettuce and our strawberries and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts have no really good place to. They can't afford to live in houses that are on the Central Coast. No
longer. And with this whole hype of anti-immigrant and blaming the immigrant, that's even a bigger problem. Because before, right, there was a big pool of workers, and companies took advantage, of cheap labor because they were there. Now it's not any longer, because of the whole hype of border control, immigration. That's another issue. But we in Watsonville, the majority of the people that I represent are people of very low income and also of field work.
What kind of ideas do you have for that? What are you asking the farmers and ranchers to build housing for the people who are working for them while they're there, or partnering in projects?
We're not there yet, with them. I hope that we can learn something what has been done in Salinas where they did build, housing for farm workers. In Watsonville, we're not there yet. Okay, where we are at right now is that we are very forward, bringing new businesses, bringing some, hotels, service industry. There's in the works, but not another 2 or 3 hotels coming in. We're also very open to new businesses that are coming. In terms of the housing, there are more projects now being built now. More units are coming up, but all those are being developed by private sector, and the private sector can only either give us some inclusionary ordinance funds or also provide some housing. And some of those new projects that are coming, they also see the importance and the needs, so they are also providing some affordable units, but it's not enough. There's 46 units being built right now, but by Mid-Peninsula, and that project has taken a long time. That was one of the last projects from the redevelopment when there was money. But that kind of housing, it's not being built anymore. And that's how we did it in the past. We are now confronting that issue. High rents, no housing being built for affordability for the workers. That's an issue that is not only for us, but for the whole county.
That's for the whole state.
The whole state, yes.
Yeah, that's a difficult issue. Well, speaking of difficult issues, I know that Watsonville has declared itself a sanctuary city and a dreamer city. Tell us what that means.
I think since 2007, we took the position being a sanctuary city because of what was happening then. And what it really means is, in a sense, it's a very symbolic to say to our immigrant community, our police force is not going to cooperate with immigration. We, the city, is not going to put any resources to cooperate with ICE or any immigration that comes into our city. Now, if there's an issue of, what they say, crime and, violence and gangs, well, that's another issue. But don't use that to come and take innocent people. They are here only to work and to make good. So our city has taken that position since 2007. Since Trump came into the scene, we have had to, not only us, but more cities throughout, and also now the state has taken the issue to become more sanctuary cities, to stand up for the people. It's like a protection to tell them, you know what, we care for you. Instead of saying, we want to cooperate and come on in, ICE take them away. And the question of the dreamers is just another humanistic matter of these young people coming here and now being told that you're no longer welcome here. So something's going on right now in our country that it's not right. And I think that us in Watsonville, like Santa Cruz and other cities around, in more cities now, are taking the position that there will be supporters of DACA, sanctuary cities. And now that the state has become a sanctuary state, it shows that we care for the people that have made this state and this country what it is today.
Now, as a mayor looking at the city, and you have some economic challenges, the dreamers often have jobs and pay taxes. If those people were to leave Watsonville or Santa Cruz County, do you have a sense of the financial impact of that?
I don't have the numbers, but I know that just in our area, we're talking, between 300, 400 dreamers just in our area. And I think there is a county-wide, there's over 2,000, almost 3,000 dreamers in the county. Now, any person that stops working that is contributing right now is a loss. And when you talk about 800,000 of them, and most of them are doing good jobs and paying good taxes, it's going to be a big loss. But I think that it's more than just economically. It's also a human thing. It's a thing about here you are saying now to these kids that came when they were little that you don't have a home now and that you are going to be thrown back to a place that's not their home. It's just inhuman, and that's why we feel as a city and as a mayor and a lot of us together in the state are taking that stand to say this is not right, and we're going to do everything we can to protect them.
So are there protections for dreamers in school, like in high school and elementary school? Are those sanctuary areas? You're a sanctuary city, but are kids protected at school?
Well, what we have done, we came together with a coalition of nonprofit organizations, the diocese, and the legal, different legal attorneys. And what we have came together to help them first on this phase of registering the DACA people that they had up, date already passed, which was October 5th. Right. Okay, for the kids, it's the same thing. If you are in high school or in grammar school, you can just think that they can even apply now. Okay, there's not even a question no more. Right. They're open season now. But we are not going to cooperate with any INS that comes and tries to come in. The schools are already taking positions. The schools have began to also educate the community what to do about it. So I think this right now is time for us to build a very united front on all levels in trying to put in ourselves and say to all these dreamers and their families that we are not just going to sit back. And there's different activities being done by different sectors of the community. The faith community has taken some really good stands, and some groups are even talking about opening the doors, churches opening their doors. That is really good. It's just showing the compassion and humanistic that exists here in our county.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit. You had an interesting thing that you said in the paper, and I don't know, it could be a while. You may not remember saying this, but it was about Watsonville, kind of building up the downtown to have more of a culture and a buzz and an activity. You said you felt like it didn't compete with Capitola and Santa Cruz in the sort of like energy around the downtown. Can you talk a little bit about your plans to bring more energy to Watsonville's downtown?
Well, it's already happening, and Watsonville has a downtown, okay? Watsonville does have energy. Watsonville is not, Capitola or Santa Cruz Mall, and we were not going to be like that because we don't have all the students here, even though we have students over there. Watsonville does have a particular culture and a particular diversity of culture in the downtown. If you walk downtown, there's shops you can go, there's stores, there's eateries where you can go eat, have lunch. Now, can we make it better? Yes, and that's what we want to do. We want to attract more to downtown, a diversity of restaurants. We have the elements there, but we have to get away with this notion that Watsonville is dangerous, because that's what people think. As a matter of fact, there hasn't been no homicides, in Watsonville this year. And our, crime has gone down. So what we're doing is saying to the rest of the county, Watsonville is very lively. Now, this is the next step, DACA. The next step is that how are we going to balance, right? How are we going to balance between the need for housing and keeping our, what we are right now. Because more people finding that Watsonville is more affordable compared to the rest of the county, okay? And they're moving, they're coming. And once they come to Watsonville, they're discovering the beauty. They're discovering the gorgeousness that we have. And now more businesses are interested in coming down because we are also very business friendly to the business community. And we are telling the businesses, come down. We are not going to give you all the red tape because we want you to flourish with us. So we're changing you can call it the downtown in that sense, that more businesses are becoming more interested. We have done some more fixing our street. We have winding our sidewalks. We have put some nice plants and flowers on Main Street, in a sense, trying to take it away from just a highway, and trying to slow it down, to slow people down. So that's our goal. We're moving in that direction. We have a beautiful plaza. We have Cabrillo College. I mean, that is just a perfect place if you come to Watsonville. Some people say, "Oh wow, Watsonville reminds me of being in Mexico." Well, most of us are Latinos. We all live there.
It has a town square.
Yeah, it's a town square. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
But we have to do away with that notion that, why do you want to go in Watsonville? Why do you want to go there? You're not going to go nowhere if you go there. It's not true. We are welcoming businesses. And we feel that in the next few years, we're going to be able to do that because businesses now are finding that they're having a better time and a good time coming to Watsonville.
Well, that is very interesting. Can you tell me what things you're doing to entice business to come? What sort of regulations or incentives can you give businesses?
Well, in terms of incentives, as you know, the state has taken a lot of stuff away from us. Okay? we don't have the redevelopment. We don't have that no more. But what we are saying to businesses is that we will work with you. We will work with you to make your business possible in our city. That's a big step because other cities, make it harder and impossible for you to have any business. So that's number one. We want to work with you. We're also going to different job fairs. Our staff is going with our brochures and showing, what Watsonville is. Come to Watsonville. Come to downtown. We have buildings that can be utilized. We're trying to bring some nice restaurants downtown. We already have some, okay? But we want to diversify it. So one of the big obstacles, if you talk to businesses, any business tells you how hard it is to make your business happen because government will put all kinds of blocks on you. We're saying is we're going to work with you to make it happen. And this what I've been told so far from businesses, this is a huge step.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Mm-hmm. So in our last couple minutes, can you tell me, our last 1 minute, I've been told, what is the biggest thing that you want to accomplish for Watsonville during this term?
Well, my term is almost finished in a few months.
Ticking, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. For this last couple of what I really want to accomplish is to make people feel that Watsonville is a very welcoming city for everybody, and that you come down there, I bet you that you want to stay there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Mayor
much.
Oscar Rios. We appreciate your having been here. Thank you for joining us tonight for Elected Spotlight. Let us know if there's an official you'd like to see on the show. Email your suggestions to me at becca@communitytv.org. Thanks very much. Good interview.
I hope it gave you some.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It gave you a little view of.
Yeah, I saw your